Hey there. So I wanted to just talk for a minute about styling the wigs that I create, and it's also applicable to a lot of different types of wigs. But the wigs that I make are specifically made out of viscose fiber. Thank you so much to Jess DJ BJD for letting me use your handsome boy on the left for this video. So the very first thing that you need to know about viscose as a wig fiber is that it is a type of fiber that you never want to get wet. You know, it's a natural fiber, and a lot of people use viscose for felting. So if you get this fiber damp, it's going to potentially felt up, and I have done that by accident before on my wigs, and I just want to tell you, like, try to avoid water. That's the easiest way to make sure that you don't accidentally mess up your wigs. And for the most part, water is not ever necessary, but if you ever did need to use water for your wigs for some reason, only do a very, very light misting on the toothbrush and then brush that through. Like, don't spray water directly on the wig in case you accidentally get too much on it, and then you'll be in trouble. As I mentioned, toothbrushes, ta-da! This is really the only tool aside from my fingers that I use to style my wigs. When I make my wigs, I do like to use a little bit of synthetic wig leave-in conditioning spray. This is one that I got on Amazon that I love, the awesome synthetic leave-in conditioning spray from Spray and Go. Good times with this. But I only use a very, very small amount for the same reason, because, you know, there's water in that and you don't want to felt your wig. So I would say don't use that unless you really, really need to. If you ever had like a wig that was super frizzy and it just wouldn't do what you want, you could use something like that. So I'm just going to show you kind of how I play with these wigs to get them to do what I want, just as an example. The wigs that I make, they have a very formed wig cap, so it was specifically made on the head it was intended for. This head was mailed to me so that I could make a very close fitting wig cap. So for example, my wig has sideburns, that's the word. So when you're putting the wig cap on, you're going to have to be aware of those sideburns so that they don't get in your way. Sometimes, or if like you have like a widow's peak, sometimes they'll like want to bend out a little. Obviously you don't want that, so you can like just kind of flex it back in. And then when you put it on the head, you're going to come from the back and pay attention to where these sideburns are, and just kind of feel where they are in relation to the ear, and push down just a little bit so that it gets seated properly. If the wig slides at all, you can use just a little bit of eye putty to kind of add a little bit of additional sticky friction in there. I do put a layer of silicone in the wig to try and prevent it from slipping, but it just happens. So be aware of that. So this wig, it has a part. Obviously it has a specific style in mind, and if when you get a wig from an artist or a wig that you make yourself, if you try to go like super against the design of the wig, you're going to run into like glue roots and stuff. So I mean, don't plan on completely like reversing the flow of the hair or digging too deep into it, or you're going to find glue. So I just want to mention that so that nobody's surprised. And you can already tell, like, this viscose fiber is already getting a ton of volume for me just playing with it. So it's very easy to style, and it's very easy to smooth out if you want it to be smoother. So let me show you just kind of smoothing out completely with my toothbrush, just so you can see that even though it can get a lot of volume, it also can smooth out very well. And this is a dry toothbrush. Just kind of brush it. Try to get the hairs in the direction you want. So like this wig, since it's a kind of like a comb over style, like there's a little bit of glue, there's a little bit of glue right here, and you just want to style it so that no glue shows. And that's the intended direction of the hair when I made it. And I'm gonna keep Sorry, gonna keep going around and smoothing it out. Just being, gentle and being patient with it. So you can see it smoothed out a ton from very little effort. And if I want it to smooth even more, like, you can use your hand to kind of push down on the fibers and get them to kind of stick together. And you can, curl the edge just a little bit and it will hold that position. And then see how it's still kind of like sticking out a little right here? You can just like push down and rub it just a little bit and the fibers will stick to themselves. You can pinch and kind of like twist the hair to get it to gather. Again, it's very good at sticking to itself. So there you go. But when you want to add volume, I would say always just give it a little bit more volume than you think you want, because you can always brush it back down. So for this guy, I'm gonna give him some movement in here. And then, he could totally rock that if you wanted to. I'm gonna pull his cap down just a little bit farther. There we go. But I'm going to just brush it down. And I'm very lightly brushing just to get some of like the flyaways to lay flat without totally flattening it out. And then if I want a little bit extra lift in the root, you can kind of pull up and like wiggle your hand to give just a little bit of volume in the root while keeping the rest of it flat. And then I can pinch specific pieces of hair to create whatever look I want. And then I'm going to want a little volume in that root. Just rub the ends just a little bit. Same with the back. Like, you can just push it up a little bit and kind of pat it down. You can use your toothbrush to, puff it up or lay it flat. Just kind of play with it, see what it does. Wait till it gets to where you like it. Pull the hair to cover any like naked looking spots or whatever. And there you go. So not bad. Like, it didn't take very long. Like, if I don't like the way that the neck looks, I can brush it around however I want it. Brush it forward a little to cover the neck joint a little bit more. Or if you really want to have like a put together neckline, you can just pinch it, right? And just have, a different, like, cleaned up point to the neck hair. And also, I will mention, it's normal for the wigs to shed for a little bit after you first make them. It's going to release some extra fibers, so don't panic if your wig sheds a little. So yeah, there's this handsome boy. On this guy, when I made his wig, I wanted to be able to slick it back with the part. I wanted to be able to slick it back and hide the part, or I wanted to be able to brush it forward and do kind of like a messy bang. Obviously his wig has been in the back position for a while, so it really wants to kind of just stick out cool. But again, like, you can just kind of like rub it and it will chill out. So I can give him a bit of a bang. If I want it to be more piecey, you can twist it a little and just kind of play with it until it does what you want. It takes a little bit of patience. If I wanted to hide his part, which not all wigs have this ability, but if you want to hide the part, you can just brush it back and you can do a very slicked back look. I'm just using my little toothbrush. So if I wanted, like, you can tell like the front here is pretty darn flat now, just for me brushing it back. But if I wanted a little bit more volume up at the front, what you could do is just put your hand on the back and just push forward a little bit and just wiggle. And that way you can do a little bit more like pompadour volume without massively, messing up the hair. So it's still really smooth. And, if you want to lift the back up a little bit, you can kind of like gently pinch and arrange. And if I want it to blend in with the shorter hair below, I can use my toothbrush to kind of make it blend in a little bit better with those sides. And then, yeah, gonna just play with the bottom to get those hairs to lay how I want. And there you go. So I hope that that was helpful. I mean, don't be afraid to play with your wigs. I mean, make sure your hands are clean, keep them dry, and, you know, make them your own.